Hi, guys. Welcome to e-commerce week. This is Mastering Memes and Social Commerce with Doing Things Media, and I'll be your host for today. I'm Leah Lamar. Hello. You guys, from funny social content to successful online stores, Reid Hailey and his team have perfected the art of monetizing popular trends. And they do this by capitalizing on real life events to create popular products. So, Doing Things Media has seen millions of followers, big brand collabs, and extreme social commerce success. So, now let's learn why memes are a serious business that can result in serious revenue. They've also created some of our favorite Instagram accounts, from Shithead Steve, Trashcan Paul, to Animals Doing Things. You guys have been keeping us laughing for years. As a stand up comedian, I am jealous, and also just make me a meme, you guys, please, for the love of God. Um, Hello, Scott Dunn and Reid Hailey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm fabulous. It is wonderful to see you here today. And I think we'll just start with a couple softballs and also introduce what memes are to people, to anyone who might be watching who doesn't really quite understand your expertise. So if we'll start with something like, how would you define a meme? That would probably be helpful for a bunch of people.
Yeah. I'll take this one. I guess memes are like I would have said 5 years ago, memes are just like Twitter posts with an image and text on top of it, but that's changed over the years. I'd say it's something, it can be any concept that is like iterated by, you know, a large group of people, like millions of people, or even like thousands of people. There's niche memes, there's really mainstream memes. So yeah, I guess it's just something that, like, a concept that people can take and like remix and send around to their friends. It's something really viral and really just like something that you don't see on, like, it's not ever going to start on traditional media. Like, you're not going to see it on TV. That's not where memes can start from there, but they start on the internet. But sometimes it's Super Bowl moments or whatever that everyone is like collectively like on the inside joke with, I guess. That's how I describe a meme.
Fabulous. And just a quick follow up, do you feel like you have a good example of a mainstream meme versus a niche meme for people?
Yeah, so mainstream meme would be like Joe Rogan, ivermectin. Like Joe Rogan's a horse. Like, it was just like dumb and like everyone was in on the joke. And then a niche meme would be like forklift memes on Trash Can Paul. Like people like forklift certified is a good one. Same with like commit tax fraud. That's like pretty niche, but it's like I don't know. I guess those are two niche examples, and then the mainstream.
I'm also forklift certified. I did bring the fork from my plate to my mouth.
Very nice.
That's
You're in the club.
Oh, amazing. Thank God. All right, we've got another question for you. Okay, so why do you think memes have exploded in popularity over the past several years?
I think it was the like social media just kind of made it a lot easier to spread ideas and concepts really quickly. So Twitter was like where memes kind of started. Um, so I would say social media just like really accelerated that. Memes have kind of always been around since like the cavemen, like writing on the walls.
Just
So
hieroglyphics.
what's that?
I said just hieroglyphics.
Yeah, exactly. Like, memes have actually been around forever, but there's never been a time in history where people can share something so widespread to millions of people so quickly.
Love
Scott,
that.
I don't know if you had another idea, but that's where how I see it.
My thoughts are basically, attention spans becoming increasingly like minuscule, right? So like atomized content, being able to bake in so much sort of value in a very quick to digest format and then share it so accessibly. I think, like, not to like totally unpack it, but people want to consume valuable information in the least amount of time. And I think memes have sort of empowered people to do so.
Scott, unpack it. We're here. We're to Italy. Unpack, baby.
Look, I've been a meme consumer as long as anybody, but I'm far from the expert as my counterpart here, Reid. So I'll let him speak to the lineage of everything here. But it's an interesting time, and it's just cool from my perspective, at least, to start receiving memes from like my parents, right? Like, that's always sort of like the genesis of anything, right? Like something's cool and niche, and then it starts to explode. And then when your parents start diving in, like when your parents signed up for Facebook and friend requested you, it's like, all right, this shit's really getting out of control. And so I think we're sort of at that dawn of meme culture where our folks are sort of joining in on the party.
I love that. I also love that you guys both keep leaning back in your chair, so it looks like you're buoys in the ocean.
I'm just trying not to get half of my face cut off here, but I'll try to ignore it.
You guys, this whole conference is going to get turned into a meme thanks to you two.
Totally.
How do you think that memes play into social commerce?
So yeah, like when I started Shithead Steve and Trash Can Paul initially, this was like
amazing names, by the way.
So yeah, I literally just came up with them one day. I was hungover on the couch with my friends. I'm like coming up with dumb names. And anyways, but that's another story. But
it sounds like this meme is sponsored by Gatorade.
Yeah, actually BioLite. Check out BioLite.
Pedialyte, yeah.
No, it's called BioLite. This girl that I know in Atlanta made it. It's incredible. It actually works. Way better than Pedialyte. But so yeah, so social commerce for us, I'll just kind of tell you like the story of how we started to like monetize with merch basically was like, I noticed like all these different memes were popping off. And then I like early on, I was only selling advertisements to make money. And I made a t-shirt on like Teespring one day and then saw that people like really like it resonated with people and a lot of people were buying it. And so then I started noticing stuff through the lens of like, oh wait, this concept could work on a shirt. And it's kind of like a lame way to look at memes and like comedy, but like for our business model, it definitely it makes sense because people love to wear ridiculous t-shirts. That's kind of where it started for us. So we were like noticing that engagement levels when they're a certain amount within the first hour, we were like, okay, this really resonated with a ton of people. If we can like successfully translate it onto a piece of merch that looks good and people want to wear it, like that's kind of how we saw it. And then also gag gifts. So like on Shithead Steve, we started selling like prank puzzles where it looks like a bunch of cute puppies on a puzzle on the box, and then once you open it and you put it together, it's like a bunch of huge dogs taking like massive poops in a field. And like so that's like just an example of like we noticed that people love dog content either on Shithead Steve or Animals Doing Things or whatever, and we were able to like turn it into a product.
Wow, I love that. I'm wondering if you can make a puzzle of me taking a poop in a field.
Hey,
or in my bed, and it's when the joke is funny and you can say I shit the bed.
Yeah, we just need your permission. So sign.
I mean, where do I sign? Okay, this is incredible. Let's keep it moving because I'm sure the audience has a million questions, but me first. Okay, so what do you think the future of social commerce looks like?
Yeah, I'm happy to dive in here. I mean, right off the bat, right? Like social commerce is sort of frictionless. And like when you think of yourself as a potential customer of something, like there's typically a lot of steps, specifically research. And I think just younger generations are tired of putting in that work. I mean, I remember not too long ago looking for a new pair of sneakers. I would have to probably put in a couple hours worth to find the right sneaker for me. But like what you're seeing now in social commerce is that like content and product are like merging together in a very organic way where you're consuming content again organically without really understanding that you're sort of being targeted in a borderline innocuous way, if you will. So again, the name of the game is discoverability and how you can sort of find new products that you might be interested in. And for better or worse, these platforms are very invested now in implementing new native shopping tools. And they understand you better than you do, right? And so when you start engaging with specific types of content, or even further, when you do make a purchase in app, these platforms recognize that, and they're going to continue to serve you things that you're probably more interested in over not. So in terms of like the future, I mean, you hear a lot about like QVC for the internet age and live streaming. I don't think we've yet scratched the surface there on what the potential might be, but I'm longing that personally. And then, yeah, again, anywhere where you consume content, there's going to be like a native shopping component that is conducive to that experience. It's never going away. So this is, in my opinion, at least, barely rounding first base. We have a long way to go, but especially when you sort of look at like the 18 to 34 demographic, many more than not have already shopped on social, and they probably prefer that over going to, you know, a mall or something else on ecom. So you got to just sort of play the numbers and see where the growth trajectory is. And younger generation, they're preferring that method, and so platforms are catching up to those needs.
Yeah. Also, what was I going to say? Oh, God, I forgot. I'll come back to me.
I have jokes. So yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear that you're saying that this is barely rounding first base, because I'm excited to see what second base is like. Uh-oh. I think it's interesting that you said discoverability is the name of the game, because I
Yeah.
remember that being a quote by Christopher Columbus.
Nice.
Reid, have I stalled enough for you, or
What's that?
I said, have I stalled enough for you, or should we move on?
I was going to say something. It'll probably come back to me. So let's move on.
Okay, love that. Just go back to the last place you were. Okay, all right, okay. So you guys, what, if any, do you feel like has been your biggest challenge in capturing popular trends? And this is kind of like a two-parter. Has there ever been any sort of backlash to you capitalizing on a popular trend? And if so, which one?
Yeah, it's never been easier to notice what's working and what's not working, because the engagement's right there. You're just like doing math. Sorry, my dog is interrupting.
And what topic we have? Yeah.
Yeah, she's a little Shishan.
And she is stealing the show. Okay, sorry.
But yeah, so it's never been easier to like know what concepts or trends are hitting, because you can just look at what the engagement's doing, at least for people. Okay, I just got back to what I was gonna say.
Yay!
So it's also never been like the process of launching a product has been flipped on its head, because for people like us and other people, influencers, anyone with an audience, the hard part's already done, which I think the hardest part is building an audience. The next thing is like, okay, what's the product I'm going to launch to my audience? That's the next thing. So you don't have to pay to get people to look at your product. For us, we already have people that are consuming our content. If we successfully come up with the right product and it's the right fit, we can promote it for free. So that's kind of like ties into like the future of commerce. That's why, you know, these big, you know, CPG brands or whoever that's trying to sell a product, they're partnering with influencers. It's like a must nowadays, because that's where everyone's attention is, and that's who people trust. So yeah, the future is influencers and creators and people that have an audience that they're speaking to authentically, and people trust their opinion. And like that ties in with live commerce. So yeah, there's going to be some big new things coming with that. And to answer your question about backlash, we've had backlash probably with anything we've ever posted. There's always somebody in the comments who's like pissed off for whatever reason. Like our
you know you're doing it right though. If everyone's on board, you don't have a hit on your hands.
Yeah, and the problem right now with social platforms is that the stuff that's the most controversial gets the most engagement. So we're like, we don't want to do what like the mainstream news networks do, where they're like, okay, let's put out this Facebook or an article that we post on Facebook, and there's 300,000 Karens, and you know, on the other side, the anti-Karens, whatever you call them, are arguing over something. So I would say I guess like even the vaccinated shirt, we had a shirt that said vaccinated and ready to commit tax fraud. They were like, you know, people that were like, what? You're like, I'm not vaccinated. I'm pissed off by this. Like, but we don't care about that. Like, we're like, whatever, like those people are just overreacting. I don't think we've ever had a moment where we've done anything that got like real backlash, where we did something like wrong when it comes to products. We have with like content, you know, we've had jokes that, you know, comedians, when they're in a club, they test out new material. Sometimes it doesn't hit. So I guess it's more content for us that's like not hit before. We've had shirts that don't hit or products that don't hit, but it's not like overly offensive or anything.
Yeah. I just want to add that like we're not purposefully looking to produce like controversial content or products. Like we let the data guide us. We listen to our fans. Like there's a reason why we do the things that we do. It's because there's an audience on social who wants to engage with it, who wants to facilitate dialogue around these subjects. And I don't know, it's just how we've carved out a sort of niche that's since blown up into something more mainstream, right? So to Reid's point, if you do anything on the internet, you're going to piss people off. We can't let that dictate our decisions, but ultimately we don't take ourselves too seriously and are just looking to have fun. And I think many people are looking to experience that same thing on the internet in 2021.
Yeah, if I don't post a comedy clip and have backlash, then I have nothing to talk to my therapist about, and it's all for naught. You know.
There you go.
I give all the credit to comedians. It's like the final frontier, you know. We rely on you guys to speak your mind and stretch the boundaries a little bit.
That's what they tell me, and yet. Okay, so let's touch on something very quickly, Reid. You said something that I think a lot of people want to know the answer to, because you're right, you already do have this massive built-in audience. And so I was wondering if you guys could share a little bit of your secret sauce into building a massive empire audience.
Yeah. I mean, I can just go back to how I started everything. I started 2 accounts that are called ridiculous names. So number one, it got people's attention. I knew that, the profile picture for Shithead Steve would get people like that, grew up during the 90s, who saw The Sandlot. It resembles the guy from Sandlot. People are like, actually, I've talked to that guy, the actor. He's really cool with it. He thought it was hilarious. So yeah, that was like part of the like special sauce in the beginning was that. And then original content is huge. And like I started out just reposting just like the other big accounts at the time, like the Fat Jew or Fuck Jerry. Like they had like 100,000 followers when I started. And the only way for me to stand out was to make original content. And I don't run the page anymore. Justin does. He's incredible. He's funnier than I ever was. And we have a huge meme chat of people that work.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, we have a huge chat. And we're just making like, it's comedians and like the funniest people on the internet that we've hired to just collectively, we come up with like the funniest stuff together. Sometimes in a 10-minute span, we'll have like 10 days worth of content. And we're like, we got to slow our roll here and like roll out one today, one tomorrow. And it's like different because we have too much content. So yeah, original content is definitely key, and like rewarding people that work for us that are like the funniest people. It helps us stand out, and like we're putting out the best quality content we can. And then also reposting some of the funniest other people that don't necessarily work for us or with us or anything, and just shining a spotlight on the people that are actually putting out original stuff. And so from the beginning, that's been our special sauce, is just making people laugh with original and unique content rather than just a repost machine. So
I love that. It sounds like it's a beautiful synergy of appreciating the people around you, respecting others in your comedy community whose work you also admire, and then just generally being hilarious yourselves. So be funny and respect people. Okay, that sounds I'm like, oh God, is that how I have to build my audience? Actually be nice to people? Ugh. Okay. Excellent work. I love that. All right. So I have a couple more questions for you. Did you feel like you had any barriers to entry or big challenges in getting started?
yes, so I'm not going to name accounts, but there's accounts out there that would just rip stuff and purposely steal. And they were the biggest accounts at the time. And we definitely butted heads, and like, I don't know. So it was weird. That was like the number one thing. It's like, why, if I posted something and 2 seconds later it's posted on this big account, why would people follow me? Because it's showing up, in their feeds. And then it's like, oh, I already follow this big account. They'll just repost it and not even giving me credit. Now everyone's cool and like is giving credit when they repost, which is good. So the market kind of like regulated itself, which it needed to happen. Comedians were pissed off, and I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I would like to think I was really trying to make funny stuff. And when you do have that epiphany and you're like, oh my God, this is a good meme, even though it, maybe only took me 5 seconds to go to Twitter and just blurt out what I was thinking with the picture, it still was like, I made this, and it pissed me off. So that was number one. Number two, nowadays is even more, it's harder. There's like the platforms are favoring certain types of content, and it's really hard to build up an audience now versus back when it was chronological feed. So that's number two. I guess those two things were, number one was a headwind. It's not so much anymore. People are cool nowadays, which is good. And then number two is now it's hard.
Okay, but let's go back even just one step further. What inspired you to really get this forward momentum toward wanting to build memes?
Well, I've always been like an entrepreneur. I had like some businesses, some didn't work out, most didn't work out. And then I saw this as like an opportunity for me to have my own thing where it's like, I don't have to go clock in. I can just work from my phone. And I just kind of like tried it out. There was no risk. I was just like, I was a faceless meme account and like no one knew who was running it. So I was like, I can just be dumb and there's not going to be like a future potential employer that sees my memes and is like, oh, this guy's like out of touch or is an idiot. So that's like how I started it. And I've always been like a class clown kind of guy. Like I hated school. I've always wanted to just like do my own thing. And so for me, that's what I saw. It's like the big opportunity with social media. And I actually like, we like make fun of Gary Vaynerchuk. I think he's like, he's got some like, the vibes of Gary Vaynerchuk are very memeable. I'll say that. But he did say something about the advertising industry and how like it's all still with traditional media. That's where the majority of advertising dollars are going, is like into a pit on TV, and it's all going to come over to the internet. So I was like, okay, my business mind was like, this is it, and then my creative mind was like, this is a place for me to try to be funny and an idiot, and just like, yeah, that's how I saw it.
Speaking of money going into a pit, I will just send you the wire transfer information.
Yeah.
No, but speaking of money going into a pit, how do you guys feel about NFTs and DeFi? And do you see yourselves merging into that space anytime soon?
Yeah, so there's stuff out there that I really think is promising. NFTs are a bubble right now, but the technology that's underlying, like the actual technology is game changing for IP owners and artists and creators. So I think that over the next 20 years is going to be way more impactful than people think it is today. Right now, it's kind of like, here's a dumb penguin. It's going to sell for $69 million, 420,000. But you know, like Beeple, like that was awesome though. And I think he's like a real artist and it's not dumb, but the amount of money it's selling for, it's just nuts. So I think the future is going to be decentralized, and there's going to be creators are going to really have control over their IP and the way that they monetize it. So I think it's really promising. And like BitClout is another thing that I've had my eyes on.
I put so much of my Bitcoin into my BitClout early on. You could keep going, but I'm hurting. I'm emotionally limping as you're speaking.
Yeah, so yeah, I got lucky with BitClout. I had some fun with BitClout. I got out and I have like a little bit of money still in there, but like BitClout is I was just investing in random like creator coins like Elon Musk and whatever.
Just so weird. I remember seeing you invest in mine, but it's fine. Yeah.
I dumped it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's a weird technology, and it's like weird to think about investing in people. And I don't know if that's it, but there's going to be a decentralized Instagram and Facebook and TikTok that works, and people can say whatever they want and monetize however they want. So we'll see.
Amazing. Okay. So let's go back into a little bit more about your merch. Has there been a best-selling merch based off a popular trend? And have you had a favorite moment or a huge big win during this journey that you felt really took the cake in creating all of these social media platforms?
Yeah, so the prank puzzles were like number one. That was like a new concept that no one was doing. I was really surprised when like we came out that I'm like, why is no one really doing this? Maybe there's someone out there doing prank puzzles, but we were like the first to do it on the internet. I'm pretty sure. It was definitely our own ideas. The dog one, we had a few other ones. That was like number one. We sold crazy numbers there. We have a game coming out that I'm really pumped about. But then in like terms of shirts, like we're like the king of like meme dumb shirts. That's probably Gabagool. We had a Gabagool tee that really crushed it, and it's like it's just like such a good
Cool. Yeah.
so Italian memes and Tony Soprano and all that stuff. So that was the two.
I just want to add, like, the lifespan of like how we take a piece of content, put it out there, performs well, we take that data, leverage that to produce merch, people purchase it, and then it comes back to social, and then we have like more types of content that like underscores these categories that we're making a thing. It's just like a unique life cycle. Like, it never really does end. It's meant to be online, essentially. So I think like those prank puzzles and the Gabagool shirts, like, ultimately we knew people were interested in it. It sort of improved our odds of selling it through, and then of course we see it again on the other side once they have it in hand and they put it on social and tag us. So it's sort of like an interesting mix between like creative intuition and just like first party insight capturing is more or less our formula.
Did you guys see puzzle purchases skyrocket during the pandemic?
Yep, and that was like part of the reason we like came up with prank puzzles after we were like, what is everyone doing right now? And being really bored and putting together puzzles was like top of the list.
But post-pandemic-ish, I don't even know what we are, but let's just say post-pandemic-ish right now, people are still wanting to play around with puzzles and purchase new puzzles. So I don't know if it's going anywhere. It's sort of fascinating.
Yeah, it's like, oh, actually, I made this shithead Steve bread, and
yeah, we were thinking about like how do we sell bread, but didn't work.
Bread mold. You're welcome.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So I have some more questions, obviously. What passion projects, if any, are you guys working on right now? And if not, is there something that we should expect in the future that you're excited to create, or any sort of vision that you have that hasn't come to life yet?
Yeah, I would say the game we have coming out is a passion project for me, because it's a very dank, for people that know the term, dank meme game. And it's different. Like, forklifts are in there. There's all these like niche things that the people who get it are going to really get it. So that's been a passion project for me.
Wait. Hold on, Scott, we're coming to you. But Reid, you have to be more specific. Is this game in the deep sky space? Is it on Instagram? Where can we play it? What kind of game are we talking about?
It's a physical game. That's all I can say. It's not NFT.
Oh, what a TBT.
What's that?
I said, what a TBT, a physical game.
Yeah, and we're thinking about like adding an NFT component to it. So that could be cool to make it like more collectible. So we'll see.
I love that. And Scott, over to you.
This sounds weird to say, given I don't have children yet, but sort of like the pet space and kid space is always sort of fascinating to me. So I used to work at the Dodo. So I did a lot of business operation work for the Dodo, which is the biggest animal brand on the internet. And it's sort of unique because they were able to turn like a niche category mainstream. And so I think you're starting to see more of that in the pet space and in the kid space. So, as the company known for Shithead Steve and Trash Can Paul, we recently put out a new, talent driven, man on the street style original called Recess Therapy, where our host Julian interviews, kids ages 2 to 10 and asks them, fun questions, outrageous questions, sometimes serious questions. And the content is just absolutely going wild on social, and it's leaving an indelible mark on people. So like, it feels good to play around in sort of like the kid space right now and give a platform to children that hasn't really been done quite like this. So we're excited to extend the show and the IP and see where it takes us. And then, yeah, more in the pet space, animals doing things, doggos and cats doing things. We were able to sort of carve out our own niche to like underscore the comedic side of pets, not take it too seriously, but like showcase their intricate sort of weird personalities. And so I personally think the pet industry needs more playfulness and more silliness, and our fans are telling us, yes, give us more of that, as evident by like, the prank, puzzles around dogs pooping. So we're thinking of some really cool things to do in the dog plush space and sort of, merge together meme culture with pets and bring products to market that hasn't really been done yet, not to this caliber. So more to come, but kids and pet space in particular are pretty fun to me.
I love that. And I should know the answer to this, but do you have toilet paper with Shithead Steve on it?
We don't. We thought about doing some custom toilet paper when there was the great toilet paper shortage, but supply chain didn't let us do that. So,
I mean, I would buy some and probably wrap my body in it just for fun.
Yeah, we thought about doing like toilet paper with people you don't like on it. That's already been done a million times, so we didn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Got it. I'll take my bad idea out of here. It was great seeing you guys. Okay. So I have to say, I looked through your website, and as I was perusing, I was exhausted just scrolling a couple times down. It appears that neither of you ever sleep. I am wondering how you guys balance work and life. Is there?
So yeah, so contrary to what people probably think, they're like, they think I run every account, or Scott runs accounts, or Derek, my co-founder, runs all the accounts. It's actually, like I said, we built up like a big team of creative geniuses basically that totally understand meme culture and all these different pages. So we have brand managers running each one. We've really built up a great team. So it's no longer like all on me or Derek or Scott's shoulders or Todd's. So yeah, we have a great team.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole idea of like a work-life balance, like, you know, if you love what you do, it's corny as hell, but like if you do, it doesn't necessarily feel as much of a burden. And I've been there. We've all been there. We've all had crappy jobs. You just like cannot wait to clock out or get to Friday. And me personally, like I always hated that lifestyle, like just trying to get through 5 days to enjoy two. So the benefit of what we do is that, again, like we don't take this too seriously. It's obviously, you know, a very viable business model. But we love what we do. We love the content that we produce. We love that our audience, you know, loves it equally and engages with it. Working with more talent now, delving into other areas like NFTs, which is like a real benefit of our business. We stay nimble. And if we want to do something and we're eager and passionate about it, like not as much red tape. We go out there and do it. We do it to the best of our ability. So anyway, like Reid has done an amazing job, like building an incredible team. And I'm not like the creative guy. It's very humbling, like to see these guys in action. Like I've more and more frequently not provided my like ideas because it pales in comparison to these guys. But like, you know, you just put a bunch on their plate and they deliver. And it's great to have a team that you can depend on. So I don't know. It's weird to think about like what work hours are these days. But whatever it takes to sort of keep this moving and building a big business. So it's a nice benefit of the job.
I love how both of you just basically said you just work all the time. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. Creator economy, baby. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean, those are pretty fluffy answers for what you meant, but we loved it and we appreciate your honesty. I actually have a question from the audience that I love and wish I thought of myself. But the question was, do you have a meme cutting room floor or a meme graveyard? And if so, was there anything that didn't make it?
Yeah, we have a meme chat with like 1 billion ideas a day, and like most are amazing, but some are just like, sometimes we'll get in our own bubble and we're like making memes about we like create a meme and then we have all these iterations of that meme and like no one on the outside has even seen the first one. And so it's like, guys,
Amazing.
this is so funny for us, but everyone else is going to be like, what is this? So sometimes we'll have some like, yeah, we'll like get burnt out. But I guess that's my answer.
Scott?
I leave like the memes to, you know, the creative geniuses. I'm the back end business guy, but yeah, as I mentioned earlier, like he's completely correct. There are group chats and like it's relentless and ongoing, and like the ideas inspire other ideas, which inspire like the lineage of like an idea to when you see it on your social feed. I mean, it's a number of steps to perfect that, and that just speaks to like how often these guys demand more out of each other to produce the best piece of content for the internet.
I would pay to be in one of those chats. Just to see
quite a spectacle.
Just to see the madness. I feel you're all like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, just going out of control.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
There's no Oompa Loompas though, so.
Oh, never mind. I'm out. Ew. Okay, so what other meme accounts do you guys love? And do you feel like the space is now collaborative or competitive, or has it always been one way or the other?
It's always been a mix of both. You know, like there's some accounts out there that like I helped them grow, they helped me grow. And now like I've always been of the idea of like, the internet's massive. Like there's so many people out there. It's not, in my eyes, it's not competitive because everyone has their own different voice. And there can be so many of us. So it's just like with stand-up comedy, like you lift each other up. We used to have a group chat where, yeah, maybe there's some that
I'm
aren't.
like, okay, yeah. Or how long ago did you do stand-up comedy?
But the people that aren't like, hey, let's all grow together. Like, hey, look at this guy. He's really funny. Look at this girl. She's amazing. The people who aren't like that are going to be left behind because no one else wants to deal with that like weird energy. It's not going to get you anywhere. Like I get the idea of like, oh my God, that person's so funny. How am I ever going to compare? But you know, I don't know. It's just a crazy way to like, after you like think about it, you realize it's not a good way to it's just like bad for your health. So yeah. But it's definitely competitive. Like there's in people's own heads, they're competitive with us. So it's whatever.
Right. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Mhm.
But do you have any accounts that you love?
Yeah. I think my favorite account might be Grape Juice Boys. Grape Juice Boys is hilarious. Sunny Side Up is the guy behind that. So we've known each other for a while. He's really funny. That's probably my favorite other meme account.
I would really hope
Yeah.
they have a Manischewitz Boys account.
Manischewitz Boys.
Who?
Should we start that, Reid?
I mean, I'm just so relentlessly Jewish at every possible
Yeah.
chance.
I already have the headache thinking about Manischewitz.
I have no idea what that is.
It's the sugar. Oh, it's a sugar-infused Jewish wine.
Okay.
My favorite outside, like I'm trying to sound objective here because honestly, my top 5 are all doing things, brands. But Costanzagrams, like I'm a big Seinfeld guy, and I think that's like part of the beauty of like the meme format is that anybody can really just do it. And if you're creative, you'll get rewarded. And here's a show that has been sort of off air for over 20 years, and yet like this guy, whoever it is, still making the show relevant and tied to like the times, right? So anyway, that's sort of the beauty of this industry. It's one of my favorites. I love it.
Yeah. Also, Friday Beers is one of my favorite accounts. Like that format is so new, and it's just they're doing something different. So I like them as well.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing and being collaborative. All right. So obviously memes are all based in comedy. That's clear. And they're meant to bring us joy and laugh. And I'm curious if you guys have any comedic inspirations, any stand-ups that you love, and if you don't say me, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And I know that we're just meeting for the first time and you may not have stalked me on the internet before this, but just anyone.
Yeah. I'll go first. I think Tim Dillon is so outrageous. He reminds me of Chris Farley a little bit, just like his demeanor and how he's just so outrageous. I think he's brave also because he'll test out any concept and not worry about like people saying, oh, you're terrible because you made a joke. So I think he's number 1 on my list, along with like, Jim Carrey is my favorite actor back in the day. He was hilarious in all his movies. And then I just saw Mark Normand, and he was outrageously funny.
The funniest.
Yeah. So he's like close to number 1 with Tim Dillon for me.
Yeah, I love Tim Dillon. Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld, Larry David. I gotta pay my respects to them. And Dave Chappelle. I mean, like the irony of those 3 is I'm like thinking about it out loud. It's like they've done these like iconic shows or stand-up specials, predating, the internet almost. And yet it's still relevant to this day. It sort of transcends time and then like inspires a new crop of comedians who apply some of that formula and, their own rendition and make it again, like relevant to today's consumer, which first name that pops into my mind is like a Lil Dicky, right? Where it's like, yeah, he's like a Larry David meets Jerry Seinfeld, morphed into a 30-year-old body. Anyway, this sort of like, did you ever notice type of comedy is just, it's too easy for me. So we could go on and on, but Chappelle the goat to me. Absolute goat.
Yeah, Chappelle's the best. I forgot him. He's number 1.
Greatest. He's the greatest.
Chappelle is so massively talented and hilarious in every possible way. I was competing in roast battle at the Comedy Store, and he just dropped into judge.
What? No.
I lost my mind. Let's go back. This is when you should make the puzzle. It'll be a a photo of me shitting the bed with Dave Chappelle watching.
That's
But
a good humble brag there too.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I
Man.
did win my roast battle, not to brag, but there was nothing humble about that. It was just bragging. Thank you.
Please.
But he really, I mean, he is just absurdly talented. He really is. And I've been touring with Dane Cook recently.
Cool.
Blows my mind. I mean, he just did an hour at the Improv last week, and he just tore the house down. I mean, there are some great comedians, but it's very cool to be in LA and being able to witness some of the greats, seeing Dave come through, see Dane come through, and just learning so much from them.
I saw Dave in Atlanta, and funny story, so I was supposed to take a regular weed edible, but I took a weed edible with melatonin in it. And I was like, and it was so funny that I was easily awake and like dying laughing. So
amazing.
I took a sleeping weed edible, and I was up. So it says a lot.
We're asleep 2 times as fast.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. LA or New York, you can go into any hole in the wall comedy club, and at any moment, like a Dave Chappelle can just walk in, right? Like these guys love it. I mean, the purity of everything, it's very special. So I'm not surprised to hear that, but brag away, Leah, brag away. This is the forum to do it right now.
Yeah, I would love to, but unfortunately, this panel isn't about me. That's what my therapist always says, but I don't know why I pay her, you know? I'm like, this is the one time it's allowed to be about me, damn it. And my Judaism, you know, like I'm so Jewish, I sent my DNA into 23andMe and they just sent me back an everything bagel.
I did. So my little brother did that like 6 months ago, and we're all like really pumped. And he's like, "We're Ashkenazi Jew." It's like borderline 100%, and it's like, okay. I was hoping for like being a little bit of like, no, you're just pure Jew. I would have taken an everything bagel. Yeah.
Hilarious. Okay, wait, you guys, I'm so sorry. The time has gotten away from us. You know what they say, time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
So, you know, I was going to say something witty, but it just didn't come. So that's what we ended up with, was just a regular old thing. Anyway, so I got one final question for you, and let's make it snappy because we got to keep it rolling. But just a question. Do you have any final thoughts for creators or entrepreneurs who are just starting out in the social media space, who might not either know how to get their feet wet or they're struggling to gain traction? Or just any final thoughts in general?
Yeah, just do what you actually like to do. As cheesy as that sounds, do what you love. And then if you I would also try different formats. In today's age, the algorithm's the king. I guess just try new things. Notice the engagement. As boring as that sounds, it actually is important. You're like, notice what does well and what doesn't do well. And then like people like us, are the doors open. Like if you want to talk to us, we can actually really put you up on a platform in front of millions of people, blow things up overnight. Not everything's gonna hit, but it's interesting to think about. Like, I don't want to sell us, but kind of am. People like us with audiences that are looking at funny stuff every day, we're here, so I guess that's full spiel.
Yeah, and Scott, when you wrap up with your answer, if there's anything that you would do differently if you started over, also let us know that.
Yeah, I mean, my best advice, I've given it to many, don't put yourself in a box. People like to say, creators especially, I'm a TikToker, I'm a YouTuber. The internet's huge. And the same user is not using Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Like, they're just not simultaneously each day. So to Reid's point, like, be brave enough to extend yourself outside of those social walls, try to reach new audiences, maintain that authenticity. And to your point, like, if you love what you do, that content will read and people will respond to that. So there's a lot of internet out there beyond just individual platforms. So that's my parting advice.
You heard it here first, kids. There's a lot of internet out there. If you don't succeed, TikTok again.
Right.
This has been Mastering Memes and Social Commerce with Doing Things Media with Reid Hailey and Scott Dunn of Doing Things Media. I've been your host, Leah Lamar. I'm a comedian. You can find me all over the internet and live. I'm going on tour November, December. Find me IRL and also all over the internet and on Clubhouse.